everyone, my name is Amber and I'm the Youth Services Assistant at the Boyle County Public Library. And today I'm going to be teaching you all how to make a character in the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons. Some individuals absolutely love character creation. Others dread the work that is involved in it. As a new player, this task can be daunting without any knowledge of what is required. We are going to go step by step, so if you have the player's handbook at home, the guide is on page 11. Step 1. Character concept. If there is one thing that is not covered in the book's step-by-step guide, it's discussing the core concept of a character. Now, if you are not concerned with making an interesting character or already have the character that you want to play with, you can feel free to skip this step. I recommend learning more about the setting you'll be playing in. It can be difficult coming up with something new if you have zero constraints, so figuring out all the creative constraints of the setting can help reduce the possibilities. Brainstorming with other players is another great way to help come up with this. Step 2. Picking your race. There are 9 playable character races: Dwarf, Elf, Halfling, Human, Dragonborn, Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, and Tiefling. I recommend for your first character to stick to these races mentioned in the player's handbook. As you get some experience in the hobby, there are several resources for finding non-standard playable races. Step 3 is background and alignment. This is important because every background actually includes proficiencies and equipment. This is often the most missed aspect of a character during character creation. Each background includes a description of what it is, along with the proficiencies and equipment. This is the point where it is usually recommended to fill out the boxes labeled personality traits, ideals, bond, and flaws. You could take the time to flesh out your character more at this point, or you can wait until you determine more functionality of your character. Sometimes it is useful to roll stats or pick your character class before filling these out, as you might not still have an idea of the character fully. Filling these out, however, can also lead to a better idea of what class you want to pick or what ability scores you should focus on. When picking your alignment, you have 9 to choose from: lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral, true neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil. Step 4 is class. This step is probably the most important one you will make when it comes to determining your play experience in D&D. This is because a majority of the features you get come from your class. Your class even determines when you will get ability score improvements. Choosing your class will also determine what ability scores you will want your main focus to be when the time comes to generate ability scores. Overall, this isn't a step to breeze over. There are 12 basic classes in D&D: Barbarian, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Once you have picked your class, this will determine your saving throw, proficiencies, skill proficiencies, health, and equipment. Having picked out your race and background before your class will make sure you don't have to come back to your skill proficiencies because you accidentally chose one that one of those 2 already gave you. Step 5. Generating ability scores. Before you can start making skill checks and saving throws, you need your ability scores. Generating these are about the widest range of ways that a player and DM can choose to do. Each DM has their own preferences, and you absolutely need to talk to them before going into this. But most will just have you roll for them. This is the most common approach I've seen, and the one that I personally use. The core of this is that you use the dice to determine what your ability scores are. The most common way is to roll 4 d6s and keep the highest 3 6 times. You then take those numbers and choose what ability scores you put them in. Once you have generated your ability scores, make sure to add those racial modifiers you get from the race you picked in Step 2. Step 6. Equipment. While each class has a list of equipment that they can choose from, you can alternatively instead roll for starting gold and purchase everything you choose to start with. All information on the equipment and starting gold starts on the player's handbook, page 143. Step 7. Health and hit dice. Each class has a listed hit die value. This is the core of how much health you have. At first level, your health is equal to the max number on the hit die plus your constitution modifier. This hit die value is also your hit die, which you have total equal to your class level. Example, if you're a level 3 barbarian, you have a 3d12 hit dice. Each time you level, assuming you are creating a character above first level, then you have a choice for how much health you get. You can either take the advantage of your hit die, 4 for a d6, 5 for a d8, 6 for a d10, and 7 for a d12, or you can roll that die and take the result. You then add your Constitution modifier to the number you get for that level and increase your maximum health by that much. Repeat this for each level. Step 8. Once you have picked up what equipment you want, it's time to start filling out the sheet. The weapons section lets you write down what weapons you have access to. Your attack bonus is equal to the ability score associated with the weapon. Dexterity if it is ranged, finesse, or strength for everything else including thrown. Plus your proficiency bonus if you are proficient with the weapon. The damage is the damage die of the weapon plus the ability score associated with the weapon. Your armor determines your armor class, depending on the type of armor you get. The AC calculation is found on the armor table in the player's handbook, page 145. Initiative is simple. It's your dexterity modifier. For spellcasters, you have two numbers to keep in mind, your spellcasting ability modifier and spell save DC. These are listed in your class, but now you have the numbers to fill these in. Several classes are determined by the number of spells they can prepare based on an ability score modifier. Make sure to keep track of this number if you are one of those classes. You'll know from reading the spellcasting section of your class features. Lastly, make sure that any features or abilities that mention an ability score modifier are filled in with that modifier. This includes skills, which if you are proficient in, you also get to add proficiency bonus to as well. Treat saving throws the same as skills when generating bonuses. One number associated to your skills that you may see on your character sheet is passive perception. This number is simply 10 plus the perception bonus you have. I know it seems like a lot, but hopefully this guide will help you learn the process of creating a character and not just filling out the form.